look at all these babies. Just got a new spot for them to live, and I'm pretty excited. So this area right down in here is perfect for these little babies. We've got a lot going on. 11 babies plus 2 more, so it's really not rocket science. You just have to meet all the animals' needs. Only the strongest survive in nature, so the ones that are biggest and hiding the most and eating and growing the fastest are going to be the ones that survive. But look at this right here. Look at this. See, what's this guy doing? Check it out, guys. Look at all these babies. We're gonna set some of these baby tortoises up. We got some redfoots and cherry heads, and I'm gonna put them, since it's nice and warm, in a nice outdoor enclosure. So we're gonna set that up today. I've just got a new spot for them to live, and I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna show you how to set it up. It's gonna be a really fun video because we're gonna get these guys out into the best possible situation, which is outside in the Florida sun. All right, everyone, we're going into a very well-protected lizard cage here. Now, they're thinking they're gonna get some food, but it's not about these little dudes today. It's about these little dudes today. So let's come on in here and I'll explain to you what I'm gonna do. So we had an Argus monitor in here where I recently rehomed him. All right, we kept one Argus. Like I said, I just want to lighten my load over here. And so this area right down in here is perfect for these little babies. It's well protected. I can get in here and mess around. So we're going to keep these guys to the side for a moment in the shade. And I'm going to come on in here and start figuring out what I want to do to make this more conducive for baby tortoises. We're going to put this branch up here, because I may actually have lizards in here again one day. You never know. I like keeping enclosures open because you never know when I'm gonna have an animal that needs to be rescued or needs a home. And a lot of times what I'll do is just kind of leave that there for now, is just basically keep kind of a light on, if you will. Keep a light on for me. Keep these guys ready. We're gonna move this towel, which I was using to keep the Argus monitor warm in cooler nights, because she liked to burrow under this rock or go into her cave there, her log. But look at this, guys. It's a mixture of Fluker reptibark. We put some of the Fluker sphagnum moss in here, and we've also got some coconut fiber, plus whatever little pine needles have kind of flew down from the trees up above. So I want to do this. I want to make this one lay on the ground. Little visual barrier, right? The cool thing is we're not going to have very many cold nights. It's going to stay in the mid 60s, so that's going to be fine for these guys outdoors. At least for the foreseeable future, things are looking really good here in Florida. The lizards are excited because they think they're going to get fed, but they ate yesterday. So what I need to do now is I want to make a shallow water dish, and I'm going to kind of extend our little nozzle here and kind of maybe make the water dish in this corner so that we can kind of just extend it and allow it to drip into a little shallow place for these baby tortoises to find water. The baby tortoises are also they're basically going to wander around here. You can see I have a little visual barrier right on the ground here. I put this wood here specifically because I wanted them not to necessarily be able to see out of the wire. Baby tortoises and turtles, when they're little, if you keep aquatic turtle babies in something that they can see through, they'll tire themselves out endlessly trying to get out through the glass. And in some species like snake necks, it's really bad. It'll kill them. They'll just die of exhaustion. Same thing with tortoises. You want to try and keep a nice solid border. So many times I'm often saying, guys, you got to get a tortoise table. Tortoise tables are great. Just do a quick search on the internet and you can get some ideas. A very simple enclosure that you can even put some kind of screen like this on top, and you can wheel it outdoors, which would be really cool. You hear that racket over there? That's Petro trying to get at me. We'll go visit them in a minute. But in the meantime, this looks good. I like this. What I want to do, since they're babies, I like to give them a little bit more moisture. But come over here, check this out. Because right above it was our watering hole, it would pour out, and you can see, much more moist. So I guarantee you this is a good spot to put the water, because the water's already dripping down in here and it'll fill up another water bowl. And here's the water bowl that I like. Very, very simple. Do you see how nice and shallow that is? I'm not worried about our babies getting in it and flipping upside down and drowning. So I want to go ahead and sink this in right here, and I'm going to turn on the water, and I'm going to see how it actually flows out of the top one. In fact, let's see. Look at this. See, we've got the nozzle here. I probably don't have to do a lot. I can just kind of leave it drip. We'll maybe remove this, or Let's just see. I'm gonna.
We couldn't drill a hole so it knows exactly where it's.
Well, no, we won't even need to do that. Watch this. You guys stay here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on.
Yep, here it goes.
Ah, look, there's some drips going in. Let me get in there, buddy. You stay focused on that. And I'll show you. We'll just have to move it a little bit to the left. But this is gonna be good because we don't need to do any plumbing. I like that.
So we got this up here.
Just overflowing.
Dripping right down.
Yeah, so even if I get another lizard that I can cohabitate with these baby turtles that I don't have to worry about them eating, because the Argus obviously would try and eat these guys, this is gonna be good. So right now that'll fill up. I can wipe it out, rinse it out really easily. This is gonna be enough water for them. They get a humidity, but we've also got our fluker hides that we'll place in various areas. They'll find their way in them. Just give them that, so they'll find a way, they'll dig out and go in there. Really simple. This is years of messing about with animals and creating the camp so that I have all these little options open to me to make my life much easier. I can put a bunch of little babies in here because the weather's gonna be good, and I know they're gonna be well protected. Nothing can get in and get at them, which is very, very good. Rats can't fit through this, birds, possum, anything that would normally eat little baby tortoises isn't going to be able to get in here. So I'll tell you what, why don't you bring that over here to me. Let's slide this over here. This is so cool. Oh, come on down here, guys. Peek in, and I'll show you a little bit of what we've got. We've got a lot going on. Now, first of all, we have a cherry head that just hatched. There's this little umbilicus, the yolk sac being absorbed. But this is a little cherry head, and you can tell it's a cherry head because if you look at another redfoot, you may think that they look very similar, but I'm here to tell you they do not. Look at the darkness on the plastron there. This one does not have as much dark. So you can see that they are, in fact, this is the cherry head, that's a regular redfoot.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Have known that.
Yeah, it's a little thing that you can do. Now, believe it or not, they're actually the same species, but they're different locales. These guys keep the red head, these guys' head will turn yellow over time.
And then from the top,
it's
slightly darker.
I think there's a lighter, darker midlines, but these guys are the ones that'll grow up and get the marbling, which is really beautiful. So cherry heads are just kind of the hyper colorful version of the redfoot. Both are great tortoises. Cherry heads stay a little bit smaller as well. So let's go ahead. Here's another cherry head.
Hyper color version.
Yeah, here's another cherry head. You can see the darkness, okay? And it's light. And I can now tell just from the shells, just from the carapace, I can just see that there's a difference, okay? Oh, look at this little guy. We're gonna have to bring him back in. I'm not taking all these guys out. Look at this, guys. This is what happens with hatching. So now let's kind of wash his face off a little bit. Let's get a little washy. Okay, there we go. There we go. Oh, come on out, little one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't this so cool? Look at this. Let's get in the light there so you can see better. So here is what happens. Oh, a little bit of shade. Oh, his head's still a little obscured with the vermiculite, the substrate we have here. This guy obviously is not ready.
So what is that on the bottom?
The bottom is his yolk sac. This is what's feeding the baby the whole time that the animal is incubating inside the egg. And this is just all the nutrients he needs. He absorbs that, and then as he absorbs it, he grows, and this shell is gonna flatten out. You see how it's got a fold right there? That's because he was inside the shell, so he could fit inside the shell. Okay, and as he grows, he stretches and stretches, and he broke out. Here's a little bit earlier in the process right here. Look at this. This one's just cracking. So these two guys are going to go back into the incubator because they're not quite ready. We want that to absorb a whole bunch more before we put him outside. He's just not ready. He wouldn't move around, and he could potentially get infection from like insects and things like that attacking this very soft and vulnerable part of his body. But we'll place these guys back in.
But eventually that will just...
Oh, that's just like a child's fontanelle on their head. It gets absorbed just like this. See, this one's still soft, but it's now been absorbed to the point that I can actually keep this guy, I can actually keep him outdoors. And because he's protected in here, we'll have no issues with this. Very, very cool. And over time, this guy gets really, the shell calcifies, gets really hard. But think about baby tortoises. This is the reason they're so vulnerable, is because their shells haven't calcified fully. They're a little bit soft, and we want to get them out in this natural sunlight. And that's exactly what we're doing. So let's start placing some out. Start placing the ones that are ready to go out. Here's another, that cherry head right there. and then we'll just let them walk around and they can do their thing. Look at the variability in the redfoots. Dark, very light, almost a hypo color, or a lack of black. So that's very, very cool, these guys. I love it. So we're just gonna let them do their thing. I love when I get baby redfoots. They make a great pet tortoise. They don't get huge, they're easy to care for, and they're very rewarding to keep. So we're doing good with these little dudes. I love it. So how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 babies, plus 2 more. So that's 13 babies, plus some more eggs that are probably ready to hatch any day now. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this box out. And what's great is, guys, now that we have this, let me move over so you can really see. Now that we have this little area, I can throw some clippings in here, some cactus pad. I can throw some my hibiscus, some different grasses, and basically these little guys will wander around, and it stimulates their activity, stimulates their energy levels, which in turn makes them want to eat more. So very, very good to do this. I love getting them outside. As you can see, that water is almost filled up. It'll overflow, but now we have a nice little natural shower that comes on once a day that makes sure the water is filled and that these tortoises are gonna have a really humid area to hang out in. I may throw some sphagnum moss in here so they can even have a more humid area, but what you'll find is tortoises are gonna dig down to the preferred microclimate. If you dig deeper down in here, you reach a little bit more humidity as I dig down into the dirt. Now don't worry though, they can't dig out, they're really not burrowers, and nothing can dig in because since we had monitors in here at one point and other types of lizards, I have a screen, a wire mesh floor that the animals will not be able to dig out of. But look at this right here. Look at this. See, what's this guy doing? He's already starting to excavate a little hiding area so that he feels more secure. Baby tortoises like to hide. They want to get out of sight. They want to be very cryptic because they know they can be food for a wide range of predators. As I mentioned earlier, crows, raccoons, possums, rats, other reptiles, all would predate these little guys. So it's very important to make sure they're protected. We've got this nice rock in the middle. The tortoises can get a sense of security. They'll probably bunch up. There's a little hole on this side they'll dig into. And they're just right now kind of getting their first bearings of what it's like to be out in the real world. So these little dudes are always going to be offered up. They're fantastic little pets. They're incredible. So definitely keep an eye out or email me at kenanh1@comcast.net if you're interested in learning more about these guys. They're so cool. I want to just kind of shower some off here. They got the vermiculite, which is what I use as an incubating medium. So I just kind of rinse them off a little, get them a little rain, their first kind of rain shower here. And you can really get a sense of how, even though that yolk looks absorbed, it's inside their body cavity, and it is in fact feeding this tortoise. And they can live off that yolk for about 2 more weeks. So it's really, really cool. Let's see. Just keep them going.
So how do you determine how much is left? Like how? Okay, so this guy has it sticking out, and that's safe to leave out here.
That's totally fine.
But when the sack
protected.
is clearly
Yes, when this is kind of it's almost like it's calloused a little bit. It's still very vulnerable, but it's a little bit calloused, and I'm not worried about it puncturing here or anything puncturing it. So you can see this one here. He's a little further along the process, right? See that? So and look at how beautiful. Don't they look beautiful?
They're amazing.
They're amazing, right? They're like little bits of candy, nature's candy.
How do you know when it's okay to assist them getting out of an egg as opposed to where that would be dangerous?
Very interesting question. Yeah, good question. I like to, when I see them pipping, sometimes I'll take tweezers and I'll peel back some of the eggshell. What can happen sometimes, it happens in all kinds of births. It happens in hatching, it happens in actual birth, where the animal can suffocate. It can suffocate because fluid might be be in the nares. There is an amniotic, no, it's not amniotic fluid, it's an egg fluid. There's a term for it, I forget. I forget. It's the fluid in the egg. Sometimes if they break out and it's not humid enough in the incubator, it can dry over their nose. And I've had tortoises that have actually suffocated right as they're emerging for life. It happens. I've had tortoises that everything looked fine, and just because they weren't strong enough to totally hatch out, they die. Like this tortoise, for example, is much, much smaller than this hatchling. Both are the same age. Look at the difference. So you never know. Remember, reptiles lay a great deal of eggs. Their survival strategy is produce a lot of eggs, because what could happen is, as you know, they could become eaten. So it's a survival tactic. But there's also genetic, variabilities. Only the strongest survive in nature. So the ones that are biggest and hiding the most and eating and growing the fastest are going to be the ones that survive. Now that we step in as human beings, we are kind of altering nature's plan, so we can make life better in captivity for some of these animals. This little animal will grow and continue to grow and have a great life. It's just in the wild. Would this little dude make it? Hard to say. Nature tends to favor the stronger animals. So really, really cool stuff. Really fun this time of year. We're gonna have so many little hatchlings pouring out of our incubator, and it's really cool. So this is just a fun way to kind of show you guys just some of the things that happen for me and how to set up a really cool outdoor habitat. You guys can do the same thing. Even if you don't have anything that's kind of ready to go like I do, you can kind of scale this down and you can create your own. It's really not rocket science. You just have to meet all the animals' needs. You want shelter, hiding area, water. You want microclimates. You want visual barriers. And of course, when it comes to it, we're gonna throw some hibiscus in here, collard greens. We're gonna spread it all out. I want them to begin to forage for food. We're training them how to be tortoises. And they may be hardwired, but it's good to give them a little jump start in those lessons of life. And we can do it here in a very safe and secure way. So there you have it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed seeing our little cherryheads and redfoots head on out into the newer world in their outdoor tortoise nursery. I'm loving this. It just makes life so much easier to keep everything outdoors and happy. You're gonna see in a few weeks, these guys are gonna get big and they'll be ready to go to new homes. So very exciting time here, and especially some of these light ones. My God, the cherry heads, some of the light redfoots, I get real light ones. So look at how active they are already. That humidity really gets them going. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something today. Leave a comment below, and thanks for joining me. See you guys real soon. Later.